Hello, everyone. Welcome back. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Shayna, and I'm the managing director here at Host Agency Reviews. So really, are you ready for this one? Because it really brings me such great pleasure to introduce Meredith. She is the co-founder and chief visionary officer over at Gifted Travel Network. And you're going to join us for 60 minutes. And I say us, and I mean Meredith. For 60 minutes of a masterclass designed specifically for travel advisors who are ready to break free from the industry's income plateau. So this presentation unveils the far from average formula, which is a strategic blueprint that empowers travel advisors to dramatically scale their revenues, ultimately generating annual incomes that are 5 to 15 times the industry standard. So I know that's why you're all here. So a few things you're going to learn in this session are the 3 critical steps of Gifted's far from average formula, how to increase your revenue without adding more bookings, strategies to avoid burnout while maximizing your sales, insights on moving beyond the earnings plateau, which many advisors face, and tips for achieving a lifestyle that aligns with your passion for travel. So, as a reminder, before I jump off, please continue to post your questions into the chat. We will be monitoring them. And at the end, if we have some time, I will jump back on with Meredith and I will ask her as many of your questions as I can get through. Also, feel free to post some commentary. We do love to share that as well. But now I'm going to leave and I'm going to hand it over to you, Meredith.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shayna. Well, hello, everybody. I am Meredith Calloway, and I am co-founder of Gifted Travel Network. And I am here to talk to you today about how to lean into luxury and share with you the step-by-step formula to multiply your sales and income. A little bit about me. I have spent the last 15 years of my career helping people with a passion for travel ultimately monetize it. And, going even further back, I joined the industry about 15 years ago, a little bit over 15 years ago. Actually, that's not true. Yeah, 15 years. No, I joined the industry 20 plus years ago, right after I left a very successful career to take this massive leap of faith and follow my heart instead of my head when it came to my career and try and build a successful business around my passion for travel. Now, when I left this career, one of the things that I was kind of obsessed with for most of my life is understanding like what your purpose is and what your brilliance is. And what I didn't really realize at the time is that one of my brilliances is the ability to explain to people something quite complicated in a way that is understandable to everyone. And I was this analyst on Wall Street, and the subject matter that I was covering was incredibly complicated. And you're in this world with a lot of very intellectual people. And I think there was a sense of, if I don't understand this, I can't ask someone to explain it to me because I would look really dumb and I should understand this. And I kind of cut through that and identified that and got really good at kind of not dumbing down is not the right way to say it, but taking something that, PhDs in mathematics would talk about, over, 3 hours and putting it into terms and in a way to understand that the layperson could really understand what I was trying to showcase and what offered value and what didn't. And that's what I'm going to try and do for you today in today's presentation. Is where I think it's talking about the numbers and talking about income sometimes can be very taboo. And I know that when I was looking at going into the travel industry, that was probably my number one question is, what is financially possible for the travel advisor? And is that, compelling enough for me to actually leave this lucrative career to follow my heart? And can I continue to contribute to my household income if I make this career change? And so today's presentation is really for two types of people. Today's presentation is for someone who hasn't made the career change yet, is still considering the career change, and is doing their research and really wants to understand a path that was going to lead to a financial situation that is going to be very satisfying. And the other person that today's presentation for is maybe you're in the travel industry and you've hit that plateau that Shana referred to, that income plateau. If you've hit that income plateau, there is nothing shameful about that. It's actually very normal to hit it. And what we're doing in this far from average formula is, not the norm at all. So let's just put a pause button on that. And let me just talk about my shameful little secret. So as I said, I left in 2001, I left Wall Street to start a travel business. And I spent the next 5 to 6 years blissfully and innocently spraying and praying, making all the mistakes from a marketing perspective, from a mindset perspective, from an operational perspective that I see advisors make. And I woke up one day, 5 or 6 years in, and my husband at the time told me that, it was time to make money in this business. And if I couldn't figure out how to make money, I was going to have to find a new job. And he delivered that very lovingly. It wasn't, it was very a loving nudge and kick in the butt to, figure out what is going on. Because my shameful secret was that I had this business, I had left this great career, and I was now 5 or 6 years in, and I was growing my sales every single year, but I could not figure out, which meant my revenues were growing, but I could not figure out how to grow my revenues faster than my expenses. And every single year, I either lost money or I broke even. And when I broke even, maybe I made a teeny bit of money, but I wasn't paying myself a salary, and I didn't have a profit to show at the end of the year. And what I'm going to show you today is that maybe my shameful streak, I was embarrassed by this. I was someone that had been on Wall Street and was successful at it. I was very successful at being the critic of other people's businesses and profitability and ability to find a profit. And now here I am, I can't do it for myself. So Host Agency Reviews puts out a report every single year, and I love this report, and I know they put so much time and effort goes into it. So I'm eternally grateful that they do this report, because it really, really helps us in the industry talk about what is possible. Let's actually give some words to the numbers. So in the 2024, this is the most recent report, which is based upon 2023 numbers, the average income for overall average income for a travel advisor was $52,636,000. And these numbers, especially once you start looking at the 3 to 5, the 6 to 8, those are solid numbers, and they are something to, they're solid numbers, and I wouldn't balk at them, except they're gross revenue numbers, and they are not factoring in operating expenses, what it costs to run a travel advisory business over the course of that 12 months. And these are just our estimates based upon, I've been coaching travel advisors for 15 plus years. I was a travel advisor for 10 years. And so these are pretty solid guesses at what your operating costs are going to be in these years. And based upon this average gross income number, now if you bring in the expenses, you're looking at a loss in the first year, in the second year. Maybe you're going to break even in 3 to 5 years, and maybe you'll make a little bit of money in 6 to 8 years. But honestly, $40,000 a year, knowing what someone with 6 to 8 years experience does on a daily basis is just not enough. Travel advisors are underpaid. We are underpaid, and we need to do something about it. We are doing an amazing job. We're doing amazing work. We're providing incredible service, and we just need to figure out how to make more money doing it. And so I'm going to switch gears. So over the course of coaching advisors for 15 years, we started to see a pattern fall in what we needed to be guiding people to do based upon where they were in their sales. And so what came out of that is a really clear map for when, based upon where you are sales wise, what you should be focusing on and what you can expect profitability wise. So here are the 4 phases that we have come up with. So the first phase is phase 1. And so your annual sales will be anywhere from $0 to $200,000. If that's where your sales are, your revenues are going to be in the range of $0 to $25,000, depending upon the yield and any other fees that you might be charging. Your operating expenses most likely are going to exceed your revenues. So you're going to be not making money in phase 1. This is definitely a marathon, this journey. It's not a sprint, and it is not unusual to have a year or 2 or 3 for a new business to actually be in the red in the beginning. When you're in phase 1, we believe your focus should be on your business setup, clarity on your business model, developing your brand is so important. Your magnetic message, which then gets filtered into your brand, establishing all of your foundational marketing pieces and systems, and then also getting booking experience and support and understanding how to actually book, sell, and sell travel. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is when you break through $200,000 in sales, and it goes up to about $600,000 in sales. When you're in phase 2, your revenues are going to be in the range of $20,000 to $65,000. You might still be having your expenses might still be outpacing your revenues here, or they might be right around on par. So phase 2, we call phase 2 usually the break-even phase. And your focus is on list building. When you're in phase 2, you should be focused on building that list so that you're constantly adding new prospects to your sales funnel. Relationship building a relationship with all those people that you're constantly adding to your funnel. Establishing your customer service systems and establishing your booking practice, getting more booking practice and getting access to booking support so that you can get better and better, because words don't teach. You can read a book about how to book and sell travel, but the best way to get really, really good at it is to just get in there and book and be booking. Phase 3 is when you push past $600,000 in sales all the way up to about $1 million. This is where the economies of scale finally start to kick into gear, and you push out of that break-even phase and into that profitability phase. So your revenue should be anywhere from $65,000 to $130,000 a year. And when you are in phase 3, our recommendation is that you focus on fine-tuning and systematizing your client services, finding more ways to add leverage to your business model. Another way to say that is finding more ways to increase your transaction sizes. That could be, identifying a couple of groups. That could be adding ICs to your business, or there might be other kind of revenue sources as well that you could layer in. And then the third thing we want you to focus on is delegating. This is so huge, and this is a massive, massive blind spot for travel advisors, where there tends to be a mentality in our industry that you've got to do it by yourself, you got to do it all alone, and that we don't have enough, revenue to support hiring people. The fourth phase is the phase that we believe you should be aiming for and then staying there. The first three phases are temporary. Phase 4 is where we want your ultimate destination. And this is where your annual sales are $1 million and up. Your revenues are $120,000 and up. And by the way, $1 million is the bottom, but the sky's the limit for the top of phase 4. We have advisors that in our top producers club that are doing $5 million a year. Obviously, phase 4 is also where the economies of scale have kicked in if you're doing this right. And when you are in phase 4, we recommend your focus be on tweaking your marketing systems. They're never perfect, right? There's always tweaks you can make. Continuing to delegate and hire more help, and shifting into being that leader of the business as opposed to the manager and having your fingers in all things, and collaborating with other phase 4 advisors, or masterminding is another way to say it. So I put all 4 on the slide here as a summary of the travel business phases. And I just think it's really helpful to wrap your head around this, to talk about what I want to talk about next in terms of being far from average. So I have anecdotally been saying that 75-ish percent of travel advisors in the United States don't make it past phase 2. Another way to say that is they're accidental hobbyists. Another way, and by accidental hobbyists, what I mean is their intention is to make money. Their intention is to actually pay themselves something, a salary. But because the business model, no one is showing people how to get more out of this business model, that they end up falling in this phase 2 break-even place and staying stuck and plateauing and not being able to get past it into phase 3 or 4. Well, Host Agency Reviews, their report has actually given me validation to my anecdotal observation, and the overall average annual sales for 2023 was $517,000, which puts the average squarely in phase 2, and then the average income is also squarely in phase 2. So the average advisor is in phase 2. And that's the break-even phase. Because we are teaching and guiding our advisors at Gifted Travel Network down this far from average path, and we have this understanding that there are the 4 phases and you don't want to get stuck in phase 2, we are supporting them and guiding them and equipping them with tools and coaching and mentoring, not just only at the beginning in phase 1, which would be our travel MBA program, but once we also have our travel business university as a whole, and we have our Accelerate program that everybody goes into after the travel MBA program, as well as our top producers club. And because of that, our average income here is at least double, if not 4, 5, 10, 15 times the average. So here I just show the the overall average income in 2023 for the HAR, from the HAR report with 3 years experience, 3 or more years experience, was 52,000. And the GTN Travel MBA alumni with 3 or more years experience, a very comparable number statistic, was 100,184. So almost double the average. And then if you take out of that number, because it can be diluted by people who may have started in the program and graduated from the program, but they've had to put their business on pause. So I would say if they're not past phase 1, they've put their business on pause. So if I take out the people who are still stuck in phase 1 and all we're doing is measuring phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, the average income for those people is 131,000, and 73% of them have made it past phase 1. So that's a pretty good, I think, statistic that our travel MBA program is working and the people are succeeding. And they're at least doubling the average income. And I do believe these numbers are going to grow over the next several years as our program matures and they mature. Because we have, in the last 3 years, really added a ton more support and guidance, and it's just become a richer program. And then one more statistic just to kind of demonstrate this far from average formula, the effectiveness of it is going back to the average commission earned of 46,320. The people in the alumni from our travel MBA program that are in our top producers club, their average commission earned in the same year in 2023 was 235,000. And that is, this year, it's almost 300. The GTN Travel MBA alumni in our top producers club. And actually this year we have 51% of our top producers club, which is 46 of our top producing agencies. Of the 46, 51% are travel MBA alumni, and the average of they're basically generating more than 5 times the average. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the far from average formula works. We're seeing it work at Gifted Travel Network for sure. So let me share with you what the far from average formula is. The very first step, it's 3 steps, super simple steps. It's simple, but not necessarily easy to follow, but it is absolutely simple. So the very first step is to increase your transaction size. And I think it's incredibly powerful when you put these numbers side by side, because you can say, yeah, just go sell some luxury. It'll really make a change in your business. You could say that, but it really doesn't. When you put it on paper and you see these numbers in black and white, what a difference it makes when you lean into luxury and increase your transaction sizes. It's remarkable and powerful. So I have Any Budget Betty on the left, and then I have Luxury Lucy on the right. And these are pretty standard averages. If anything, they're conservative. So the average booking size for Any Budget Betty is $5,000. Because Luxury Lucy has decided to focus solely on luxury, her average transaction size is $40,000. The average yield for Any Budget Betty is 10%, because not everything is commissionable. Luxury Lucy's average yield is slightly higher at 12%. Again, not everything's commissionable, but the overall commission tends to be higher on luxury partners. We have to take out the commission sharing because most people are hosted. So Any Budget Buddy's on an 80-20 commission split, Whereas Luxury Lucy, because she is, doing over $2 million in sales, she is on 100% commission share, where she pays a fixed monthly fee to get 100% of her commission. So the average net revenue per booking for Any Budget Betty is $400 versus $4,800 for Luxury Lucy. Now let's add in a service fee of $100 for Any Budget Betty versus a $400 service fee for Luxury Lucy. And honestly, I think that's low. For a total revenue comparison, average revenue per booking comparison of $500 for Any Budget Betty versus $5,200 for Luxury Lucy. I mean, $500 to make only $500 when I know how much time, effort, focus, hours, research, project management goes into one little booking, and not necessarily even little. So Any Budget Betty, if she does 100 bookings a year, which is about 2 a week, that's a lot. That's not way too much. It's not too much that someone can't handle it, but that's a lot. That's a full plate, 100 bookings a year, especially if you are delivering on customer service. But even at 100 bookings a year, poor Any Budget Buddy, the most she can do revenue-wise is $50,000. Luxury Lucy has the, luxury, pun intended, to do half as many bookings a year because she's generating so much more revenue per booking. So if she cuts it back to 50 a year, she's still making $260,000 versus $50,000 in revenue. And to make sure we're doing a apples to apples comparison, we want to take out that host agency expense for Luxury Lucy, which we already did with Any Budget Buddy. And her monthly fee plus annual fees with her host come to about $10,000 a year. So let's just take that off of the $260. And we have a very apples to apples comparison of $50,000 in revenue generated for Any Budget Betty versus $250,000 in revenue generated by Luxury Lucy. That's the income generated. And ironically, Any Budget Betty's $50,000 is really close to the HAR average annual income of 51, I think it was 51 or 52,636. And Luxury Lucy's is very close to it's actually lower than the average of our Top Producers Club, which was about 300,000 in 2024. So I know what you're thinking. That looks great, Meredith. I'd love to sell luxury, but I don't have any clients. There's no way I could ever fill a book of business with $40,000 bookings in 1 year. And I am here to throw some statistics at you to maybe get you excited that the luxury travel consumption has been on a growing trend, and it's only going to grow even more. And I want to argue that, yes, it's helpful to come to this business with, a circle of friends, circle of colleagues that might make great luxury travel clients. But if you don't have that, it is not a deal killer by any stretch of the imagination. And this, in fact, when it comes to selling travel, the advisors that are focused on selling luxury is so much smaller than the advisors focused on selling mainstream travel and four-star, that it's not that you're going to be trying to take clients from another advisor. You're going to be finding clients that are booking direct. Believe it or not, you have people that are booking luxury direct, and they shouldn't be. It's almost reckless that they are doing this. So these are some really fun statistics. The global luxury travel market value was $1.38 trillion in 23, and it's expected to reach $3.3 trillion. That's triple the size by 2032. 2032 is not that far away. And then that was global. What about US? US luxury travel market value was $402 billion in 23, and it's expecting a compounded annual growth rate of 8.4% through 2033. And it's expected to basically double by 2033. So it's been growing and is going to continue to grow. So if you want to move into luxury, now is a fantastic time to do it. And by the way, if you're worried about economy softening or possibly even recession, dare I say the word, the ultra high net worth and ultra high net worth market is mostly recession proof. And so we're not going to see the kind of softening in this sector as we are going to see possibly in other parts of the travel industry. So that's step one of the far from average formula. Look, there are other ways to increase the transaction size of your booking. Leaning into luxury is an option. And at Gifted Travel Network, we just believe it is the most viable option to increasing the transaction sizes. And the statistics show you that it is a very viable option. And our own actual, what our advisors are doing is also demonstrating that it is definitely working and it's a viable option. And people are the more we, give them hotel elite programs, give them access to more and more of them, give them access to a lot of what Virtuoso has to offer, the more they sell luxury. It's really amazing. So the more we support them in selling luxury, the more they are able to sell luxury and the more they do. Okay, so step two is build an effective sales funnel. So what does this mean? This is your client attraction machine. And this is an area of marketing that I think I've spent the last 15 years trying to really hammer home a message. It starts with that brand and building an effective sales funnel. The reason why I have the word effective in there is it's very strategic. And to me, the word effective means you have to nail your brand, especially if you want to lean into luxury. You can't, you have to have a luxury brand. And at Gifted Travel Network, we have been teaching, the reason why when I started the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs, which is where Gifted Travel Network gets its name from, GIFT is the acronym for the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs. I started it for this exact reason, is that when you are designing a brand, you want to be building it around your core compelling message. And your core compelling message needs to be rooted in your brilliance. And there's a very magical thing and a very helpful mindset thing that happens when you do this. And the magical thing that happens is you stop feeling like you're coming from this get place when you're marketing, when you're looking for potential prospects, when you're speaking to a prospect themselves, if someone who's inquired with you, when you have really cultivated that core compelling message that is rooted in your brilliance, your marketing shifts from coming from a get place to coming from a give place, because you own that special, unique part of you that you were born with so that you can make a positive difference in other people's lives. And you were not born to hoard that. And so when you root that brilliance in your messaging, which then gets, filtered throughout your entire brand, you realize it's your duty to market, because the people who need you most will not find you if you're not marketing. And there are people out there who really need you, believe it or not, even when it comes to vacations and luxury travel. There are absolutely people who need you. And so, you need to find that brand and find your brilliance, figure out what it is, develop that core compelling message around it, and move on to the next two steps of building an effective sales funnel. And the next two steps are list building and relationship building. It's really that simple when it comes to a sales funnel. You need to be identifying people who are an ideal prospect and collecting contact information for them so that you can then build a relationship with them and do both of those systematically and use technology to do that. So you want to have list building systems in place that are targeting your ideal client, and you want to have relationship building systems in place. We're in the travel industry. We have partners that are providing all kinds of incredible marketing materials. Use them, but when you use them and you don't do the rest of this, you're not building an effective sales funnel. You're spraying and praying, which is a mistake I made many years ago. You have to supplement your marketing or the marketing that you're given that you have access to with a fully fleshed out sales funnel. And, you may have access to direct mail that you barely have to pay for because the partners are paying for most of it. And we have that at Virtuoso with Virtuoso Marketing. But if you don't have a name and a physical address to send it to, you can't market it. So that's that list building piece. You've got to be doing that. You also want to make sure that your branding is on point and is aligned with luxury, and is coming from a place of, I can make a difference in your life, right? Like, I'm here to help you. I'm not trying to make a sale. I am trying to build a lifelong relationship with you so that I can be of service to you and your family and loved ones. And the third part of our 3-step formula, the far from average formula, is you have to be putting things in place on a regular basis where you're scaling for growth. And one of the easiest ways to break down scaling for growth, because to me, that sounds like a very big and overwhelming phrase. I don't know how to do that. Please dumb that down for me, Meredith. The best thing to do is take your sales cycle and break it down into 4 phases. And if there's anything that you get out of today's presentation, take away this little piece. There are 4 phases to the sales cycle. The first phase is what we just talked about in the last slide, the building awareness of your brand phase. So that's where you're out on social media, you're building your list, you're making people aware of what you do, you're building a relationship with the people that have now joined your list. That's the first part of the sales cycle. That's phase 1. The second part of the sales cycle starts the second someone reaches out to you for an inquiry. So phase 2 starts at inquiry and ends when they return from travel. Sorry, I just combined 2. Phase 2 starts at inquiry and ends at deposit. So the moment you get an inquiry, you field an inquiry, to the moment you actually take deposit for that booking, that's the true sales phase, right? That's where you're having the sales conversation, you're getting to know the client, answering all the questions that you have about what they're trying to do, what they want to do, what their budget is, how many people are traveling, all of the logistics. And then you're providing quotes, you're providing information, you're researching, all of that. And ultimately, the client, when they finally make a decision, say yes, and they pay a deposit, now you have a booking. And you move into phase 3 of the sales cycle. Phase 3 is from the moment you take deposit to the moment they return from travel. And this phase is the greatest opportunity for a travel advisor to demonstrate their value over an online booking engine, over another travel advisor. That phase in phase 3 is so important for you to shine. And this is where you are preparing them for travel. You are filling in the skeleton of the itinerary. You are project managing. You are communicating with them. You're taking the final payment. You're doing the travel insurance, and you are recommending things. You are, and you want to stay in touch with them. You want to stay top of mind. You want to keep them excited. You want to manage their expectations. You definitely want to prepare them for travel well. And then the last phase is basically goes back to the first phase, is from the moment they return from travel to the moment they reach out to you again for inquiry. So that's going back to your relationship building systems. So break down that sales cycle and figure out all of the things you have to do in each phase. And can you develop systems, develop processes for some of those things? Can you automate them? Can you use technology to automate them? And then can you delegate? People in our programs that have reached phase 4, phase 3, or phase 4, we are pushing them on a daily basis to hire, and to identify all of the things that they can be outsourcing or delegating to somebody else. Because you will not grow if you are kind of the spanner in the wheel for your business. And I can't tell you how many times this happens to us all the time. And I have story after story after story of an advisor who fought me on hiring. I'm not ready, Meredith. That cash flow commitment is freaky and scary, and I can't do that yet. And then when they finally bite the bullet, they hire the right person, 6 months later, they've seen their business triple. Happens all the time. So this step in the far from average formula, like I said, it's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And it takes a lot of chutzpah to do it and follow through with it. So those are the 3 steps in the far from average formula. And, going back to what I just said about even that one simple step of hiring, in isolation, you're not going to hire someone. You're going to let the inner critic, you're going to let the drunk monkey and that talk that's going on in your head talk you out of that cash flow liability, or talk you out of the discomfort it takes to put together a job description, to put together a job posting, to interview people and really find the right person. So even though, I've given you the formula, I believe that you're not going to actually achieve the far from average results you're looking to achieve if you don't equip that formula with the 2 superpowers that really activate this formula. And the 2 superpowers it's just a complete philosophy that we have at Gifted Travel Network, which is you have to be cultivating that success mindset. You have to be identifying when that inner talk is actually sabotaging you. And as an entrepreneur, that's going to happen on a daily basis. And you need rituals. You need people who are going to stretch you, because you're not going to stretch yourself nearly as much as other people around you will stretch you. And, honestly, something as simple as rooting your message in your brilliance is a fantastic way to cultivate a success mindset, because it keeps you coming back to, I want to come from a giving place, not a get place. And it keeps you rooted in what you're really in the business for in the first place, is to help other people. So there's lots of, this is a 3-day workshop on that I could do on how to cultivate a success mindset. There's not like a 3-step formula for it, like there is for the on the business operational side. But if you want to cultivate a success mindset, you need to be open to it. You need to be committed to it. You need to be willing to, have rituals on a daily basis, and you definitely want to surround yourself with people with a similar mindset that can really keep you accountable and in track. Which leads me to the second superpower that activates the far from average formula, which is support. I don't know why we all think we're supposed to do this alone. We are social beings, and in the travel industry, I think maybe because so many travel advisors end up working from home, they feel isolated, they feel like they're not, and because of that, you really need to find your foundational support. And by support, I mean in all areas. You want partner support, you want community and support, you want entrepreneurial support, you want coaching support, professional development support. You want all of that kind of support. And if you have that pillar and the pillar of a success mindset, or at least a growing success mindset, and you're following that far from average formula, that's a winning formula. That is absolutely a winning formula. So that is our philosophy at Gifted Travel Network. That is how we've architected our educational programs. So at this point, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our Travel MBA program. For those of you that are interested in learning more about our Travel MBA program, the New to Industry program, this is for people who haven't made it past phase 1 of the travel business. Now, if you are happily hosted with a host agency, then this is not an offer for you. If you're happily hosted with a virtuoso agency, this is not for you. This is only for people who are curious about getting past phase 1 and feeling like they're stuck, getting past phase 2 even. So our Travel MBA program is for people who most of the people that come to our program are not in the travel industry already. They are coming from other industries. They tend to be type A personalities that are driven, that are entrepreneurial. You must have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. It helps if you have a great circle of people. But what's more important is tenacity and a passion for travel, and just this, like, I am so ready to follow my heart instead of following my head when it comes to my career. And what I think is so exciting is that we are offering a path that really can contribute, substantially to a household income and build a thriving business, but also give you an enviable life at the same time, because we don't believe in hard work and hustle. So our program it's a 12-month long program. We start with a 3-day jumpstart orientation meeting. It's in person. It actually takes place right here, right behind this wall, in Mooresville, North Carolina. And once you do the jumpstart, you will be, we have 4 cohorts a year. So you go through the program in your cohort and you get access to fixed modules. You get access to coaching calls, mentor-led Zoom sessions. You get access to the Virtuoso Travel Basics program. You get quarterly check-ins. You get a 20-minute master your message session with me, where I help you cultivate that core compelling message based upon what your brilliance is. That's one of my brilliances, believe it or not, is helping others identify their brilliance. Most people really don't have a good take on their own brilliance. Lots and lots more, but basically, and when you join our Travel MBA program, even though you're in the program for a full year, 12 months, you can start selling as soon as you're ready. You don't have to wait until the program's over to start selling. We want you to get your booking fingers exercised as soon as possible. So we jump in with all the support we possibly could want to do that. So the investment in the travel MBA program is $9,997 a year. We do have, like I said, 4 cohorts a year. We had one that started at the end of February. We have another one that is starting at the end of April. And then we have one in August and one in October. And we do have some monthly payment plans available. So if you don't have the 9997 to pay in full, we definitely have a 12-month pay option. And I know that number might seem like a big investment, but I'd like you to consider this. Consider what that investment is as a percent of the lifetime value of a travel business that we believe we will help you build. That is your business. It's your brand. We have no ownership in it. We're not going to take a franchise fee every single year. It is your business. And mostly what you're going to get in the Travel MBA program over the course of that year is a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. And once you have that, we can't take that away from you, no matter where you go. So here's a very simple back of the envelope lifetime value of the travel business calculation. Let's assume you have a business that's going to have a lifetime of 13 years. It takes you 3 years to get to the point where you're making a profit. And in year 4 to year 13, 10 years in a row, you make a profit of $150,000. And so that's $1.5 million over the course of that 13 years is the lifetime value of the business. And $10,000 investment to get that is a 0.7% investment, or it's 0.7% of the lifetime value of the business. So just keep that in mind. It's not a cost, it's an expense. And we, when you invest at that level, you're going to get an incredible return at that level. So if you are curious and want to join our April cohort, or if you're curious about another cohort later on this year, just go ahead and scan the QR code. The other way to do it is to just go to www.talktogtn.com. All right, Shayna, I am ready for questions. I can't hear you. I don't know why.
You can't hear me because I was muted.
There we go.
That was a me problem. If anyone's interested, I think for like the last 4 years at like the annual awards for any company that I've worked at, I always win the continues to speak while on mute. So that's a me problem. But thank you. This was so fantastic. The comments, everyone, we have some really good questions. Thank you, Meredith. This was
awesome.
Super eye-opening. Okay, so one of the questions was from D, what is a professional way to explain to potential clients that you really only book luxury?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is a wonderful thing to say to clients. You can say, I only work with 4 and 5 star, or 5 star only, whichever one, because that's my area of expertise. And one of the best ways to, say if you're not, going to be doing a 5-star vacation, give them, a resource, direct them somewhere else. If I were doing this myself and I was on a budget at the time, I would just go to this site. Or there's nothing wrong with online travel agencies, right? There's nothing wrong with booking engines when they're used at the right time for the right client. Mm-hmm. But I think it's awesome to say that to people. And the other thing I would say is, sometimes you'll get a request for, hey, I just booked a cruise. Can you help book my excursions? Or can you book my pre and post, even though they booked the cruise direct? And the best response to that one is I only work on full itineraries. I only ever, do a complete travel package. And so I can't help you, but next time, make sure you call me before you book that cruise.
That is fantastic. So Dee and everyone else listening, I hope that was really helpful. I've got another great one from Nuvia Travel Advisors asking, which social media channels typically are the most appealing to luxury advisors?
To luxury advisors or luxury travelers?
Yes. Luxury travelers.
Yeah.
I said that wrong.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I mean, Instagram for sure. Believe it or not, Facebook, everybody's on Facebook. I mean, it is, I think, is it now the #1 search engine? So Instagram is for sure. Meta as a whole, so Facebook and Instagram. And LinkedIn is really good for, it's not necessarily that it's luxury travelers are there, it's your executives and professionals, people that are really doing well in the corporate world and they don't have the time. So, getting out on LinkedIn is a really, really good strategy too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, actually, I feel like LinkedIn is almost the forgotten one sometimes.
Yeah.
Because people reshare really wonderful things to their own networks, and then their own networks come to follow you and want to learn more about what you're doing. So I think that's a great shout. Okay, I've got actually another great one from Dee. So thank you, Dee, for sending in some questions. She's like, I feel like I'm a professional student at this point, starting my second year. How do I get more bookings when I'm new and also not currently traveling myself?
So, is she still a student?
She says I feel like I'm a professional student at this point. So I believe she's starting her second year as an advisor.
Got it. I can relate, Dee, to that feeling of like, I was there for like 6 years, where I just wanted to grow my sales and not my expenses all at the same time. So I'm going to give you an answer that frustrates you, and then I'm going to give you a more practical answer.
Yeah, well, she just wrote, I just do more training than traveling. Oh,
okay. No. Okay. Right. Because you don't have clients right now. But and often what I see travel advisors do, this may not be her, but what we see all the time is this perfection paralysis, right? Travel advisors, and what they're pouring themselves into is product training, not even business training, not even marketing training, but product training. And it doesn't matter how much of an expert you are at something. If you don't have a client, you can't make a booking. So you really should be focusing on, that marketing plan. But the non-practical answer I'm going to give you is you have to have a mindset shift right now, because what I'm even hearing in the question, and I'm going to drink. Sorry, I'm preempting a tickle in my throat. Is a sense of doubt in yourself. That's what I'm hearing. It may not be what's coming out, but that's what I'm picking up on. And so you have to reverse that. You have to start from the inside out and really lean into what it is that you're doing for people.
Oh, take your time.
Sorry. Always happens. You need a mindset shift in terms of, just deciding you're going to believe that this is possible. And then the practical piece of it is making a plan. You've got to have a plan to follow. And it sounds like you're going to the product training or whatever kind of training because you don't have that plan and you're trying to figure out what the plan is. And if you don't have a plan and you're foggy about a plan, then, invest in a program that has a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. And also feel free to jump over. Our blog has over 400 pieces of content, some of which Gifted Travel Network has written as well. So please go take a look. There's lots around building marketing plans, different templates, and that will be incredibly helpful. That is all the time we have today. Please scroll back through. We did post GTN's profile link so that you can go check them out. I did see a few people ask about the Travel MBA program. Yes, it is only available if you are a member of Gifted Travel Network.
Right.
If you have any questions at all, you do not have a host currently, go to their profile. You can reach out to them directly from there, and then they can help guide you in the right direction.
Or just reach out to us at joinus@giftedtravelnetwork.com. I will make one tiny little plug. If you're curious about learning more of what I'm teaching, find our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and type in Gifted Travel Network, or check out our podcast, The Travel Business Unpacked. And that's on all of podcast streaming sites.
Yeah, absolutely. I've listened to a few of them myself, so I highly recommend. And thank you so much for joining us all. We will be back next Wednesday for a special edition for Women's History Month. So we're going to have a panel of 4 incredible speakers. I will be hosting again, and Steph will be joining us this time on the panel. Yeah, very exciting. So please join us, same time, same place. And thank you so much to everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.